Welcome back to Crispy's Projects, and we're back on the Corrado. And in this episode I am going to be finishing welding up the boot. So if you missed the last episode, I decided I was going to fit a bigger fuel tank to this diesel conversion Corrado, and that was a bad mistake because it was way more effort than we really needed to do for those extra 15 litres. So I just hope it's really worth it. Only one way to find out. So if you missed the last episode, I was comparing the sizes of the tanks, and one is definitely bigger than the other. So I've done this over 7 months, so let's go back in time when it's a little bit warmer. I started by drilling out the spot welds. Realised I needed to raise the spare wheel well. So out comes the plasma cutter. The review on that coming in for the next couple of months. Screwed it all back together to set the right height. Gave it a bit of a trim. And then welded it back up. So let's see what we're up to here. I've done a little bit of welding, just tacked a few little bits, the bit that I've pulled out. I've tacked it here, there and there. There's been quite a bit of tension on there, so I've had it held down. So just having to raise this up because that is the top bit of the tank on the VR. So I've managed to do that here as well. Put a little, that was an actual S shape. So hopefully you agree that this is a job that is not 100% necessary, but it'd be good when it's done. But when will it be done, and will it be right? Main thing is that it's all sealed up, fairly factory looking. A lot of it will be hidden underneath the carpet, but I still want to be able to raise the carpet up, be able to look underneath it and not be completely embarrassed. You and me know that this is this bad. To make one little panel. I've done this completely off camera because I have no idea what I'm doing. My idea of metalwork is just breaking things. There's no other way of describing it. So this is my first venture into actually making a panel. So I haven't got any wonderful tools, so no more than a hammer, which is one of my favourite tools, and a little dolly and a vise. I can't even see the dolly. I've managed to create that. It's not perfect, it's nothing like any of Trev at Trev's blog, because this is pretty amazing, but it's a starting step, isn't it? Give it a bit more rigidity. So I'm quite happy with that, because before I was able to flex that a lot. So let's just look down to where it's going. Go over that panel there. I've already cleaned it all up with one of them little Scotch disc things. It's just like a fiberglass bit of plastic, but it really takes paint off, cleans it up, and also clean the edges of that up. So it's going to sit nicely. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish this. That's the beauty of not knowing what you're doing. Let's have a little look what we've done there. So, managed to weld more or less a line there, more or less a line there, more or less a line there. Next thing we're going to do up top is put one of these rust converters on. generously into the joints. You can see it changing colour already. I'm going to put some 2-pack epoxy primer on there just to actually get into all the nooks and crannies before I put any seam sealant around it. So even though I spent time measuring, it still didn't work out as I'd planned. Let's have a little look at what we've got there. So it looks clean and tidy. I've only put a little thin coating of paint around it just to seal it up from the primer to make it look a little bit better. And then guess what happened? Once I actually bolted it all up and tried to get it to fit, something had moved somewhere in the construction and it was just knocking on the edge there. So I had to just slightly modify that section just to sit out a little bit more using the good old hammer, as well as this section. But this section I'd actually put a little bit of filler on there just to smooth it all out, so that's why that's all cracked and made it a little bit more smooth around this edge, because it was just clearly knocking, binding just behind there, which I thought it was just right. See, a bit further up, that sharp edge is okay, that sort of worked, and the rest of it worked okay as well. And I managed to put the fuel pump in and actually get it running, but we'll run through the fuel pump at a later time because that's more complicated. So even though it was that much effort, and all the way through I kept thinking, why have I started this? I know it was for the right reasons of fitting that better style fuel pump, later style fuel pump that has a better quantity for delivery, the extra capacity, which I don't know if I'll ever use. Hopefully I will for some real long miles per gallon tests. And I know it's done. I know it's done pretty much right, so I'm quite happy with that. Yes, it would have been easier getting a later style floor and just welding that in, because that would have solved so many issues. But at the time of various lockdowns, I could not find one for sale anywhere, and various people I asked didn't have one, so I pretty much lumbered making my own. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-da! So let's go and have a look. Why did they got to make noise now?